Pat, Postman Pat, Postman Pat, and his black and white cat. Early in the morning, just as day is dawning, he picks up all the post bags in his van.
Postman Pat to the rescue. Story by John Cunliffe from the original television series. The day had started cloudy in Greendale, but as Pat set out along the valley, on the way to the village post office, the sun began to come out. Pat's red van went twisting and turning along the windy roads. He went through Greendale Forest, where all the birds were singing. He went round the sharp corner by Garner Hall, then put his brakes on hard. There was a big van almost blocking the road. It was Sam's mobile shop. "It's going to be a tight squeeze," said Pat. He drove onto the grass at the edge of the road. Sam popped his head round the corner of his van. He waved Pat on. "Come on," he shouted. "You've got plenty of room." Pat wasn't so sure. He edged slowly alongside Sam's van. "Left a bit," called Sam. "A bit more. Left, left, right. Straighten up. Keep going, you're okay. Come on, that's it." Pat stopped by Sam's van and opened his window. "Hello, Sam," he said. "Thanks for seeing me through. Could you give Mrs. Atkinson her letters, please?" "Righto, Pat. Mind how you go. Cheerio." Sam went off with Mrs. Atkinson's letters and groceries. Pat tried to drive away, but the van didn't move. "Oh, dear," said Pat, putting his head out of the window. He could see the wheel whizzing round and sinking down into the muddy ground. "I think we're stuck." He revved the engine again, but the wheel just went deeper in. "Now we are stuck. It's all that rain. It's made the ground boggy." Sam came back. "Hello, Pat. Still here?" "Yes, I am," said Pat. "I'll give Peter Fogg a shout as I go past. He can tow you out with his tractor." "Thanks, Sam. Cheerio." Pat sat on the wall to wait for Peter Fogg to come. Up on the hillside he could see Alf and Dorothy Thompson busy with their haymaking. He could see the sheep and their lambs running and skipping in the green fields. Peter came at last. Pat was glad to see him. "Hello, Peter," he said. "Can you tow me out, please? My van's stuck in the mud."
"Easy," said Peter. "Sam told me you needed help. I'll just back up."
Peter turned his tractor in a gateway, then backed up until it was in front of Pat's van. Then he got his tow rope out.
"Now then, just tie it on here," said Peter.
"Righto," said Pat, tying it to a special bracket under the front bumper. Peter climbed onto the tractor again and started the engine.
"Right,"
he called. "Yes, all ready," said Pat. Peter drove slowly forward until the rope was tight. He put more and more power on until Pat's van began to ease out of the mud. Soon it was on the hard road again. Peter took the rope off. Pat started the engine and waved to Peter. "Bye. Thanks a lot."
"Cheerio, Pat."
Pat was on his way again. When he arrived at the post office, Mrs. Goggins said,
"Morning, Pat. You're a bit late today."
So he told her all about how he had been stuck in the mud and had to wait for Peter Fogg to come and pull him out. She showed him the Pencaster Gazette.
"Look," she said. "There's a picture of Major Forbes's bull. It's won first prize at the county show. Isn't it a magnificent beast? Have you seen it?"
"No," said Pat, "and I don't think I want to either."
"There's a letter for the Major, so you might meet the bull. Better keep a sharp lookout."
"I'd run a mile if I saw it," said Pat.
Cheerio.
Pat hadn't gone far when he saw Ted Glen waving to him to stop.
Some fool's left a gate open, he said when Pat stopped. I'll bet it's those campers. The sheep have got into the clover field. It'll kill 'em if they eat too much. Can you give me a hand to drive 'em out?
Yes, of course I will, said Pat. I used to work on a farm when I was a lad. Have they gone far, then?
You can see 'em up there. They have spread out a bit. We'd better get after them.
The sheep were spread across the hillside, busily munching the clover that was so bad for them.
You go that way, I'll go this, said Ted.
Right, said Pat. What a time they had chasing those naughty sheep. The sheep ran all over the place. They jumped over walls and gates, dodged round trees and bushes, and hid in the long grass. By the time Pat and Ted had chased them back into their own field and closed the gate, they were hot and out of breath.
Phew, that was warm work, said Ted.
What's that funny noise? Said Pat.
Hey up, it's that bull, shouted Ted. Run!
They ran all down the steep hill and jumped over the wall at the bottom. Ted said, "Ouch!" as he landed with a thump on the grass at the side of the road. "What's up, Ted?" said Pat. Ted could not stand up, and his leg seemed to be twisted.
It's my ankle, said Ted. By gum, it does hurt. Ouch! I can't get up. I think it's broken.
"Now what are we going to do?" said Pat. "You can't sit here till it gets better. I'd better go and get Dr. Gilbertson from the village. Won't be long." Pat drove in his van to Dr. Gilbertson's house. He gave the doctor her letters, and then he told her about Ted's broken ankle.
"Oh dear, my car's in Pencaster being serviced," said Dr. Gilbertson.
"Then I'll take you in my van," said Pat. So Dr. Gilbertson brought her bag and rode in the van. She sat in Jess's place, with Jess on her knee. Ted was so glad to see the doctor. She soon bandaged his ankle up, with quite a bit of oohing and owing from Ted. It wasn't broken, just badly sprained.
"Try not to put too much weight on it now," said the doctor.
Pat's walking stick came in handy to help Ted to hobble to the van.
"Thanks, Pat,"
said Ted. "You'll have to ride amongst the letters," said Pat. "Easy now." Ted climbed in the back. Jess rode back again on Dr. Gilbertson's knee. They took the doctor home. Then they took Ted home. Ted was glad to get home. "You'll be all right now," said Pat.
"I'll manage," said Ted. "Thanks for helping. Cheerio."
"Bye." Pat was on his way again. He still had a lot of letters and parcels to deliver. He met Alf and Dorothy along the road on their tractor. "Hello, Alf," called Pat.
"Hello, Pat," said Alf. "Thanks for getting the sheep back. It's the same thing every year. Gates left open all over. We'll have words with them campers, won't we, Dot?"
Pat went on his way. What a morning, Jess, rounding sheep up, dodging a bull, fetching the doctor. And now we're late with all this post. We'll have to get a move on this afternoon.
Postman Pat, Postman Pat, Postman Pat, and his black and white cat. Bum, 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 bum.